Hello, everyone. Just checking. Can you all hear me? Yes. Okay, perfect. I'm seeing some heads up. So hello, everyone. The ones here. So it's a hybrid event today. So we are One Point. So One Point, we're gonna quickly introduce to you a little bit who we are and what we do. But we are a global niche French consultancy. We have headquarters in Paris, and we opened our APAC offices 5 years ago. And today we have Gabriel and Tiffani who's going to present to you our initiative about Onegreen by One Point. Thank you.
So hello everyone, good evening. I'm Tiffani. I'm a UX designer and consultant in OnePoint, and I'm also a Lasalle alumni. And I'm really excited to be back here with OnePoint and be sharing with you the One Green initiatives with Gabriel and Camila. So let me run through the quick agenda of what we're going to do today and the topic of the informations. And this is not going to be your typical boring green design talk. So first, I'll do a quick introduction of who we are as a One Point and what One Green Initiatives is all about. And I'm sure you have heard 101 things about green design, be it like the changes in lifestyle, be it eating less meat, more meat, and then airplanes, and then your rides, carbon footprints. But it's rarely that that it comes to our mind, and in the green design initiatives that you look into the digital products that you're using and basically digital touch points that you use every day. And therefore, our main agenda, the second, third, and fourth points, Gabriel will be sharing with us further our impact and how to make a difference as a consumer and a designer, and also our values of sustainability in the design space. And lastly, we will close off with a Q&A session. So to start off very quickly about who we are, we're One Point. We're a global niche technology and management consultancy. We have 3,700 professionals worldwide, and we were born in Paris in 2002. And since then, we have expanded our offices throughout all continents. We have offices across France, Canada, and also Africa. And 5 years ago, we opened our offices in APAC. And we're still quite young in APAC, but we have 100 consultants. And basically what makes us different from other consultancies is that we operate by expertise. And within this expertise, we collaborate internally in delivering all of our solutions and projects to our clients. So these are One Point's expertise, and it is being presented in a camembert cheese, which of course, because we are a French company. And basically we have expertise of performance and change, which includes your typical management consultings and basically your typical consulting projects. And we have platforms and digital, which are responsible for all the data and codes and backend digital solutions and innovations. And we have data and AI, which basically speaks for itself, that we offers data and AI developments, innovations, and also architecture and agile delivery. And the last but not least is experience and innovation, which where our design team lies on. And basically, what is One Green? So One Green is a One Point initiative that we started a few years ago in Paris. So basically, it started after our CEO had a meeting with the Singapore ambassador in Paris, and now we are launching the One Green initiatives in the APAC region. So the initiatives in a nutshell consists of three-step approach. First is the audit. So basically, we will analyze your companies, basically your performance and carbon footprints, and also using a tool in that us One Point develop ourselves. It is called Reset. And we analyze this data and we take actions to innovate green solutions and also reduce our clients' carbon footprint, which contributes to improved performance and also a more sustainable future outlook for the business. And this initiative is very important for us internally because today it is impacting all of our expertise in OnePoint and the employees, how we work and to how we operate. So I will quickly just do a quick rundown of all of the previous slide. The camembert, please. Okay, so I'll quickly run through all the impacts on the environment and performance in basically all of our OnePoint expertise. So we have there the impacts on environment and performance includes lower carbon footprint and also the cost savings and performance. This one is for the platforms and digital, which I think the audience online, you can take a screenshot if you would like to. And then lastly, for data and AI, it includes better data management and definitely less data storage and less data exchanged. And specifically for experience and innovation here, which where our design team lies on. So basically, where is the grand impact in design is that as a designer myself and ourselves, in OnePoint, we don't just simply design based on what this typical universal UX, UI, product, system, service design guidelines out there, but we specifically abide to this 19 internal design standards and also guidelines for every single design products and all projects that we work on for our clients and for our projects internally as well. And this is where Gabriel is going to share more in details. Gabriel, the floor is yours.
So today I'll be sharing about our impact on the planet as humans, how our digital footprint is basically contributing to greenhouse emissions, carbon emissions. Thereafter, I'm also going to share about how we can actually make a difference as a product, as a consumer, as a designer, as a product maker as well. So our impact on the planet, it's inextricably linked to our need to be connected. And why is that so? We rely on digital technologies to do our work, shopping, entertainment, so much more. And today, global economic activity is primarily based on data creation, your Instagram posts, Facebook posts, data storing, your Google Cloud, Google Drive, emails, data processing, data consumption, like Netflix, streaming, social media. Everything we do basically revolves around data. And just a show of hands, is there anyone in the room who has not used Facebook, Instagram, or WhatsApp previously? I guess not. Each day itself, about 350 million photos are posted on Facebook, about 100 million hours of video. About 95 million photos and videos are posted on Instagram. And on WhatsApp, about 2 billion call minutes are being transacted. And notwithstanding this, there are many millions more download streams from Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, and so many other platforms. By the age of 13, it's estimated that parents who love their kids would have posted an average of 1,300 photos and videos of their child. And by 18, these children themselves are estimated to have about 70,000 posts on social media. So just looking at the shipping industry, aviation, and the internet, which do you think emits the most greenhouse gases? Is it shipping or aviation? You guys think it's aviation?
Aviation.
So you'll be surprised. The internet, it's actually taking about 3.7% of the greenhouse gases. And by 2015 itself, this number is going to grow to about 5%. And to me, it was very surprising as well when I saw these numbers, because it's actually the combination of shipping and aviation. How many planes are going through every day? In 2019 itself, about 53.6 million tons of electronic waste was produced. And that's equivalent to the weight of about 4,500 Eiffel Towers. It's a lot of weight. I think in Singapore, we're more accustomed to kilograms. That's the number in kilograms. And in 2021 itself, it's about a 7% increase. And it was about 57.4 million tons. So the number is really steadily growing. So what are our governments doing? Globally, we have the Paris Agreement, and the goal over there is to sort of keep our global warming temperature increase to about 1.5 degrees Celsius. And why 1.5? because science has actually shown that if it goes past 1.5, well, it's going to be difficult to live on the world, because live on the planet. And how do we actually achieve keeping to 1.5? At this point in time, we are about 1.1 degrees Celsius warmer. And to go to 1.5, the goal is to actually reduce emissions about 45% by 2030 and to reach net zero by 2050. So what's net zero? Net zero basically refers to the state in which greenhouse gases going to the atmosphere are balanced by greenhouse gases removed out of the atmosphere. So you actually achieve a state of net zero. And for the SG Green Plan as well, what we're doing in Singapore, pretty interesting. You can Google it. The goal is as well is to sort of align with the Paris Agreement and to achieve net zero by 2050 through planting more trees, transitioning to electric vehicles, more green buildings, investing in R&D, more local startups, entrepreneurs going to sustainability solutions. It's a really interesting green plan as well that we're targeting. So how can we make a difference? I'll be sharing about how we can make a difference through our behaviors as consumers, but also as designers and product makers. How do we do green and sustainable user experience? So, well, every one of us is a consumer of digital product and services, right? Everything we use these days, we have mobile devices, computers, wearable tech, we have smartwatches, smart furniture, our doorbells, smart toys, and we stream, we browse, we have tons of social media, games, apps we interact with every day. Can we consider, as a consumer, maybe delay the repair or delay upgrading our devices to reduce e-waste in general? And on the picture on the right that you see over there, it's actually an iPhone 14 and an iPhone 12. Do we really have to change our phones every year sometimes? I mean, research has shown that people usually change their phones every 18 months, but the lifespan of phones is actually 5 years. So how can we actually reduce our carbon footprint this way? Do we really need everything to be online and always connected? With smart solutions like the egg minder, it helps you to track the expiry of your eggs. Hydrate Spark reminds you to drink water. Portfolio helps you to track the amount of coins that you are entering into the piggy bank. Happy Fork, a Bluetooth enabled fork that actually tells you or vibrates when you're actually eating too fast. Do we really need everything to be that smart? And can we review our streaming behaviors? I think a lot of us use YouTube, Netflix, and we have the autoplay option on, and it just goes in the background and it keeps playing and playing and playing. Maybe you could use it more consciously, not to just leave it on autoplay. And carbon emissions for an hour of Netflix. If you're watching on a 50-inch TV on 4K Ultra HD, it's about 35 grams of carbon. Again, this is depending on the country. But if you watch on a smartphone, it's about 1 gram. So can we consider streaming in a lower definition if we don't need that high quality? Can we stop hoarding our digital assets? Maybe delete mails we don't read, unsubscribe from newsletters we are no longer interested in because these are things that we have registered about 10 years back and they keep sending us emails and we just keep them in our inbox and the number grows. Can we clear out what we have in the cloud, perhaps? An interesting fact here is that there was this study that was actually done and on about 100 serial killers over decades. And there's actually a similarity between a serial killer and people who actually collect lots of notifications. Can we review our work technology use as well? So, I mean, video conferencing has really reduced the need to travel, so you don't fly. I think flying takes up a lot of carbon emissions as well. But when we're doing a video meeting, could we consider whether a phone call is actually sufficient? Maybe we don't need a video meeting. While we're having a video meeting, do we always need to have our cameras on? Again, it depends. And are we inviting more attendees than necessary just because it's easy to do so? Everything's optional, right? Just put in more attendees. Are your company's website, software applications green, designed with green efficiency in mind? Are they using like a green host perhaps? So what choices can we make as designers to practice green and sustainable user experience? How can we actually increase exposure to eco-friendly options while offering a greener choice? How can we highlight or positively reinforce these responsible choices? I mean, looking from the image on the right, that's actually how you can actually buy a flight these days that has reduced carbon emissions. And in the middle, it's actually a example from Grab that I really like. When you're ordering Grab food, there's a checkbox that actually allows you to check whether you need cutlery. I think that's very effective. On the bottom, an e-commerce retailer is actually sort of rating or ranking their products based on sustainability measures, like whether it's sustainably sourced, manufactured, shipped, packaged. How can we design meaningfully? And when we say design meaningfully, it basically means a strategic approach from the outset. So really understanding the problem, deep diving into it. And there was this example that was shared to me by my lecturer I feel is a really great example of meaningful design. So there was this hospital who actually reached out to a design team, and they were actually asking the design team to sort of solve a problem with bed capacity. So the ward was getting overcrowded. How can the design team actually reconfigure the ward to fit in more beds into the layout? And as the design team actually dug deeper into the problem, they asked more questions, and they found out that it was actually a particular ward that was getting overcrowded, and it was visited by a similar group of patients. These people were coming to the same ward every single week, and it was the same people. So after they understood the problem deeply, they dug out more information. The solution ultimately was not to reconfigure the layout of the ward. It was actually a mobile treatment device. So these patients could then, win-win situation. These patients could do their treatment at home in the comfort of their homes. They didn't need to travel down to the hospitals. And for the hospital itself, they actually started saving space, and they had more space for other patients. So how can we design thoughtfully, bring value to your users? And the goal as well is to design for longevity, right? We don't want to create waste. We don't want to design for waste. Design, throw away every 5 years. How do we design for inclusivity and accessibility as well? We want to fulfill as many user needs as possible. And again, inclusive and accessible design is a whole different new design topic on its own. But what we're trying to say here is that it's a complementary topic, right? When you design for inclusivity and accessibility, for example, for a particular website, if you reduce interface clutter, it's actually good for people with visual impairments. It's easier for them to surf the site. If we optimize user journeys, prioritize findability, makes it easier for people, maybe, for example, with physical impairments as well, because it's difficult for them to use the mouse when they have a certain impairment. So we just want to make it as easy as possible for the user when we're designing for inclusivity and accessibility. But when you do so, it's actually making it easier, and people actually surf the website faster as well. Again, when they spend less time on the website, less carbon emissions. When it's easier to find, they spend less time going from page to page to page, again, less carbon emissions. So how can we actually design for inclusivity? Designing for mobile-first approach. I think this is a pretty common topic for designers. How do we design with a mobile-first approach, which means that there's a little less space over there on the mobile phone. And again, the designer is just forced to work within that space. When we work within that space, we're actually focusing on the main functions, eliminating all those non-essential ones. By doing so, we're actually avoiding complexity as well. We minimize number of screens, steps, interactions. Again, when users can find what they need faster, they spend less energy on the website, spend less energy on the product, less carbon emissions. Also, when you get a lighter site or lighter product, it loads faster, lose less energy as well. As designers, how can we actually design to optimize? Before we actually optimize, I think one important aspect, measuring your carbon footprint, understanding what you are emitting. And again, this is just one solution called EcoGrader. It's a free solution. Of course, there's a paid version as well that can do more things. There are multiple solutions like GT metrics, and basically you just have your URL of a particular site that you want to evaluate, plug that URL, copy it, paste it into, for example, EcoGrader, and it produces something like an impact report. It gives a scoring against other sites, compares against other sites, and shows you emissions per page load, provides you suggestions as well, even gives suggestions on user experience design, how you can optimize media, whether there's any large images or videos on the site. So First step, maybe you can try to understand and measure your carbon footprint. Thereafter, you can actually work to design. When we're using images on our websites or our products, WebP is typically good for photography. It's about 30% smaller than JPEG. PNG GIFs are pretty efficient formats, good for images with a few color blocks, such as your icons or your logos. Again, SVGs are as well great for vector illustrations because it's very small. How can we consider lazy loading as well as we develop the site? So lazy loading basically means that as you have a very long site and you're scrolling, you keep the images below unloaded first. And as the user scrolls, the images start to load. And on the picture on the right, you see over there, do we really need everything to be that high resolution? Of course, if we are designing for a billboard, we need something that's really high resolution. But if it's for a mobile or a website, do we need that high resolution and image? In terms of videos, something we mentioned earlier, avoiding auto-playing videos. This gives users an opportunity to actually choose if they want to view a compressed version of a file, or they may want to choose to skip the video entirely. Maybe you're traveling, you don't want to sort of use your mobile data on watching a high-resolution video when you're visiting a site. Give your users a chance to actually make that decision themselves. And as you see, for the example on the right over there, do you need fancy videos that are, I think, trendy these days? You have like huge videos sprawled across the website. I think a site works pretty well when it's lighter. Some illustrations there as well. This is just one of the examples of a green site. It really emits quite low carbon emissions. In terms of files that you're putting on the site itself, MP4 files are recommended. Great quality, small in size. H265 in terms of video encoding, it's a good one as well. In terms of fonts that you are putting on your site, how can we use lesser fonts? Because each typeface actually requires download of a file, a different file. And well, I think it's nice to have a consistent number of fonts as well. Maybe 2 fonts, 3 fonts, not too many. How can we limit the use of custom fonts? Again, custom fonts require additional downloads every time your user visits the site. And again, if your branding allows, maybe you can consider using system fonts like Arial, Times New Roman, and Roboto. This could reduce it slightly as well. And I think recently there's a sort of like a font format, WAV2. It sort of managed to compress the fonts and allows it to actually load faster. And one example of optimization, we actually stumbled onto this site, is Organic Basics. They have basically a low impact website, and they replace their photos with actually simple illustrations. And when you're actually trying to, it's an e-commerce site, sells you sportswear, but it actually shows you illustrations. And when you actually need the photo, you can basically click on it and request for the photo. Again, it also adapts to reflect how much energy it's currently running on. And as you see it, the image on the bottom left, the image is unavailable because the particular host is emitting too much carbon at that point in time. So the founders of this particular website, besides being a low impact site, they also wanted it to be an educational tool for how the internet actually works. And they have this amazing low impact manifesto with 10 points over there. I'll just cover a few. The site aims to minimize power consumption on users' devices. It does not use videos. In fact, it uses illustrations. It compresses all data to the greatest extent possible for them. They want to load only the most crucial programming scripts, frameworks, cookies. And as we mentioned before, optimizing, limiting the use of custom fonts. So when talking about green design, designing in a sustainable way, what we're trying to achieve is basically balancing, creating a great user experience for the customer, but also minimizing the environmental footprint that we are causing. And what about the value of sustainability to your business? In fact, 52% of site visitors are actually abandoning pages that take longer than 3 seconds to load. If your site is taking too long to load, you're actually losing a lot of people, your global audience. And about 15% of the global audience actually has some form of disability. And research has shown that if your site is not accessible, it's not sustainable, you're actually losing about 25% of your global audience. $6.9 billion a year is being lost by e-commerce competitors who do not have accessible sites. And science has shown that 30% of consumers actually stop purchasing brands or products if they have ethical or sustainability related concerns about them. So how do we bring this topic of sustainability into the forefront? I think in business, we always have terms like engagement, performance, security, profits, conversion. But how do we bring sustainability to become from a buzzword into a business imperative? And why not, right? Because I mean, a sustainable site, no harm. It keeps a minimum amount of data. Loading time is faster. You get cheaper maintenance, fewer problems. You get happy users, better rankings in search engines as well. And I mean, these days, for companies to actually stay competitive and relevant, it's actually imperative for them to commit to sustainability. And I wanted to close off with a quote that I find really interesting. It's by Victor Papanek. So he was actually very popular in the 1970s, and he started talking about this sustainable design in the 1970s. So he mentions that design needs to be innovative, highly creative, cross-disciplinary tool that's, again, crucial, responsive to the needs of men. It needs to be more research-oriented, and we need to stop defiling the earth itself with poorly designed objects and structures. I mean, we don't want to cause waste when we're designing. And in his book in 1971, it's called Design for the Real World, a pretty interesting book. He addressed this need for designers to go beyond aesthetics and simple solutions, but actually to focus on designing for the benefit of humans, society, and the environment. Thank you so much. So if you have any questions, I mean, you can reach out to Julie as well. And there's a QR code at the bottom right. We would appreciate if you could actually scan the QR code and sort of do a little survey to give us some feedback. We really want to find out what we can do better for next year.
Is there any question that we can take? Do you have any questions?
Oh, sorry. You can go ahead first. Sorry.
So in your framework, I was wondering, have you also looked at biodiversity? So just like carbon footprint and measurement, etc. Do you look at biodiversity laws or anything to do with biodiversity?
In the Common Birth.
Yeah. I mean, you know, when you do assessment and measurements and carbon footprint, is it just carbon mostly? That I can't remember now the slide. Or is there any type of different types of measurements you do?
So we actually, so this is a new model, right? So we are testing first with everything related to more digital footprint and everything that it's more carbon. Yes, exactly. But again, we are just starting this initiative. We started 2 years ago in Paris. We are launching that in Singapore this year. If we do have, like a lot of footprint here in Singapore, and if it makes sense to expand resets to more like biodiversity,
Or just
sure.
Let's like not just focus on carbon.
Yeah, exactly, to open
and just other types of impacts.
Yes.
Yes.
So friends, we are more involved, I would say, in everything related to sustainability, because again, we are a company there that has been there for 20 years plus, right? So we do work with different industries. We do have like specialized, not just the Camembert, but also different verticals. So yeah, they're probably already looking to that. They have specific clients as well. So here in APAC, we are still starting. We decided to focus on carbon because at the end we are a digital consultancy. But yeah, definitely that's something to explore.
And have you heard of the digital collage?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Something like that. It's a digital, it's actually the same as a climate fresque, but more digital. And it's really a little bit like, like understanding the digital impact, but then as a card game, as a collaborative card game.
Okay.
And you can, host that with your teams and with your clients. So once you have done it, you can become a facilitator and also use it as a tool to bring into clients to understand it. So just an easier way for them to understand. with product and
Okay.
digital products.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Hello.
So at the back, I think you had a question.
Oh, I got a few questions. Because you say sustainability is for all the people, but what about old people? They are less tuned to digital.
Mhm.
You know, especially now the scammers are targeting the old people.
Hmm.
So it scared off some of the old people trying to, get access to the digital world. So how? The second question is poor countries, they also have less access to the digital world.
Yep.
You know, so they supposed to can use the satellite TV and network, but now cannot. They are banned by their government.
Mm.
And then third, sustainability isn't just about carbon emission, it's more than that.
Mm.
So it's not all the issues that are addressed in your talk.
Maybe I'll start with the last question.
Okay.
So we are a consultancy, right? So we focus on digital transformation projects. We are not saying that here the sustainability is just around digital and just CO2. We are aware that it's way bigger than that, but we actually start to focus on this aspect because we are at the hand a digital consultancy, right? We don't we are not yet, we are still very new here in Singapore, so we exist for 5 years. So we need to focus, we need to start somewhere, right? We cannot like just say arrive and say we're gonna attach and attack all the sustainability aspects. Regarding the elderly, definitely that's, I think Gabriel mentioned about accessibility. So this is something very important to us. So every client that we have, we do take into consideration who are the clients and who are the customers that we are designing for. Where do they come from? What are their background? How tech savvy they are or not? Because all of these influences how we design the products and the services that we offer to our clients. Of course, we are a consultancy, right? We advise. We recommend what's the best practice, what's the best approach. And we try to educate them into like designing more sustainable products, right? So as Gabriel mentioned, not a product that it's gonna last 2 years or 3 years, but something that is gonna become sustainable and definitely more accessible to everyone and not just the young generation. Does that answer your question? Perfect. Do we have any questions online?
For organic basics example, when the prompt of server energy message is given, how does it affect customer churn and retention?
Maybe you can go back to the
Yeah.
organic, basic
Gabriel.
organic
Yeah.
slides.
I think I lost my internet.
I think this is a very specific question, right? Around their websites.
Yeah, I lost connection. Let me just fix that.
But that's
Server,
okay.
it was the one.
Okay, no, but the computer can't see.
I think this is more the slide with the 53%, like, so we have general data, maybe answering this question.
No, it was for organic basics.
Yeah, so
I am.
Yeah, so I think so for that, we have general data, right, around the like business, right? We know that if your website takes a longer time to download, people will not stay on, right? They will just give up on the purchase. We do know as well that if you provide a website that is very complicated in terms of user experience, that you have a lot of information, a lot of pop-ups, people will likely drop out as well. So we don't have the data specifically for organic basics, and I'm not sure that we could. So it's Josh, right? That we could actually share that information as well. But we do have in general terms what happens with a bad user experience. And this is something as well for us as a design team, we do look into. So we have one of the capabilities of our experience and innovation tribe, which is called data analytics, so user analytics, where we analyze the entire user experience from a customer perspective. We understand where they drop off, what's the churn, what's the retention, and how we can enhance the designs to make those numbers more attractive to the business and to the customer as well. Any more questions? Okay. Any other question here? Oh, good. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, for joining. The people here that join online, and also the ones here hybrid. It's a hybrid event, so we are trying to get people more out and less on the web. But thank you so much for joining us today, and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.